Hi, everybody. My name is Debbie Hayes. I represent debspets.com, which is an affiliate of another program that offers wonderful products for our pets. And I wanted to start out by telling you how I started using those products. I met somebody in networking that convinced me that I was not doing my pet any favors by buying the cheapest dog food in the store. Sorry to have to admit that, but that was me. And so after a while of listening and listening to these to the comments and how most of the food for our pets is made by companies, big companies that also make candy. And I thought, well, maybe that's not a good thing. So I started out with just the regular kibbles. And at the end of the first month, remember, I had no expectations other than the fact that I wanted to be a good pet parent. At the end of the first month, I'm like, wow, he's not scratching anymore. And he was scratching a lot. And wow, his breath is better. And wow, he's still getting a little bit of that drainage out of his eyes, but not nearly as much as he was before. And just noticing things like that and like thinking, oh, this is the real deal. And so then I just started offering him more and more and ended up offering him pretty much everything that the company had to offer. So I want to introduce Cristin Ludlow, who is our guest today. And Cristin knows as much about the company, the parent company, as anybody, because she was the very first marketing person with the company. So she has been here since the very beginning. And she's going to tell you a little bit about how it started and the successes that we've had. So take it away, Cristin.
Thank you, Debbie. And I just absolutely love what we do because of experiences like what Debbie has experienced. Our pets are our babies. They're little fur babies and they're our family members. And we want to do everything that we can to keep them with us longer and have them have a good quality of life and happy and healthy. And most of the time, well-intentioned, well-meaning pet parents, we're being misled by false marketing and false advertising. We don't know, like, how could they even sell that kind of stuff on the shelves, right? And so that's why we're so passionate about what we're doing. And just so you have a little background as to why we're doing what we're doing and why this work is so important and so meaningful to us, about in 2017, a dear friend reached out to us and had let us know that they we're looking at the challenges that were happening in the pet supply industry, particularly the foods and treats and toys that our pets are chewing and ingesting. It has been so compromised and the quality has become so low that it's causing a lot of problems with our pets. 65% of our pets are getting cancer. One out of three pets are developing allergies. There are 6 million new cases of diabetes every single year in our pets. They're developing autoimmune diseases and arthritis. And I could just go on and on and on of all of these new things that our pets are struggling with at alarming numbers, at alarming rates. And they were feeling really discouraged by what was going on, especially because that year our friend lost his dog to cancer, his business partner lost his dog to cancer, and two of his business partner's daughters both lost their dogs to cancer. All in the same year, ranging from ages 4 to 11, so relatively young to be dealing with something like that. And they were feeling really frustrated and discouraged, and were talking about it in their boardroom about how sad it is. They had discovered that this is not necessarily a hereditary thing, that a lot of it is stemming to the exposure to the foods, treats, and toys that our pets are chewing and ingesting that's compromising their immune system and weakening their immune system, so their own bodies aren't able to regulate and rebalance and repair and resolve what's happening inside. And they kind of just had an aha moment where the light bulb went off because they were partners in a company that had a mushroom supplement that actually help to support the immune system. And the reason why they were partners in that company is because their other partner's mother back in 2000 had a condition in her lung that had reached stage 4, and she had tried everything that they could do, and Sloan Kettering pretty much told her there's nothing more that we can do. We've exhausted all of the options. You just need to get your affairs in order. And so her son went and started calling family members and letting them know the severity of the situation. And his cousin, who's a physician in Japan, had said, look, I don't know if this could help, but I really recommend trying this mushroom. I'm going to send this mushroom extract to you. And this is what we use here in Japan, and it helps to support her immune system. And I think she should start taking it. And so he sent it over from Japan, and she started taking these little capsules with this mushroom extract in it. And oh goodness, within a month, she started feeling better. She actually started feeling improvements when they pretty much had put her on hospice and had only given her a few weeks to live. And then 2 months later, she's feeling almost back to normal. Well, 4 months later, she goes in for a follow-up at Sloan Kettering. They were, first of all, surprised to see her because they had only given her a few weeks, and they found that there was no more evidence of that condition anymore. And they said, what are you doing? And she mentioned that her nephew had sent over this mushroom extract from Japan. They said, hey, can you please give us everything you have on it? Because this is incredible. You know, we want to know how this is working and what it did to help your body. And she let them know it was for my immune system, to support my immune system. So that's actually where the first study on this particular mushroom started in the United States, was because of his mother. And so after sharing it with several friends for all different types of things that people were dealing with, because you know the immune system is the body's first defense against small things all the way up to the most catastrophic things. So even people that were just trying to be proactive were wanting that specific strain of that mushroom and the way that they extracted it. And it took so long for it to come from Japan to the United States. So they actually created a company, brought the strain over from Japan into the United States so they could manufacture and process and do it all here within the country. And they created a product called Inforce, and they were offering that for several years. So in 2017, they had this aha moment of, wait a minute, we have seen what this mushroom has done for people all these years. Now there are hundreds of studies that have been done on this mushroom and how it supports the immune system and all that the immune system is capable of doing for the body. I wonder if this mushroom is safe for pets. And they started doing some research, and they found specifically a University of Pennsylvania study in the School of Veterinary Care, that not only was it safe for pets, but it was actually beneficial for them. And the findings were phenomenal. And so they thought, I wonder, let's start putting this into treats and foods for our pets, because it's much more fun to give your dog a treat or your cat a treat than it is to try to give them any type of supplement like a pill. And so that's how this company started. Was they started taking this mushroom extracts called the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, really pure and potent strain. They've perfected the extraction process. They started adding it to biscuits and gravies for dogs and cats and horses. And we started getting it out there, and just like what you experienced, that's what we saw time and time again. As a matter of fact, our very dear friends, who a few days after we received these little biscuits called the mush puppies that have the mushroom extract in it, they had posted on social media that they were sad that they had to say goodbye to their husky. And we called them and asked what was going on. And they said, well, she's almost 15 years old. She's been dealing with an autoimmune condition for several years now. And it's gotten so bad that her paw pads are peeling. Her eyes were turning white and cloudy. She was going blind. Her fur would just come out in clumps when you would pet her. And she was in so much pain that she would whimper every time she was touched. And it had gotten so bad she couldn't even walk anymore, Debbie. They had to pick her up, take her outside to use the restroom, and pick her up and bring her back inside when she was done, put her in her favorite corner. So of course the vet was like, look, she's really struggling. The average husky lives to be 12. She's almost 15. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. And she was still eating. And so in their spirit, they're like, no, we don't think that she's ready yet. and said, what are our options? They said, well, you can take her home, put her on home hospice. Here's a couple $100 worth of narcotics and steroids. Just try to keep her comfortable for this last month or two that she has with you. And so that's what they decided to do. And so we said, look, we have these biscuits called the mush puppies. And they were like, the what? And we were like, let's just give it a try. Let's see what it does for her own immune system. Let's see what can happen once that immune system's modulated, because we really didn't know. And we'd seen all the studies, but we hadn't experienced it firsthand. And so they started giving her 3 or 4 of these biscuits every day. And I'll never forget, on the 4th day, he called us and he said, what did you give our dog? With a very stern tone. And my husband and I looked at each other like, oh, why? Is everything okay? And they were like, Zenta just jumped on the couch. She hasn't done this in over a year and a half. And he was like, do you think it's this mushrooms? And we said, are you doing anything else different? He said, no, this is the only thing that we're doing different. We said, well, we've seen all the studies. I mean, there are hundreds of studies that are showing these types of results, but let's keep her on them and see how it goes. And so by the end of the month, her paw pads were healing, her fur was growing back in, she was walking on her own, her eyes were clearing up. And the beautiful part of that story is that Zenta was with us for another 4.5 years. She was almost 20 years old when she was finally ready to go. And during that time, she was going on 5-mile hikes. She was swimming in the lake. She was playing with the puppies. She actually got to meet their grandkids. And they have these beautiful videos and pictures of their grandkids laying on her and cuddling with her that they would have never had. So it's just such a heartwarming story. And it's been an inspiration for us, as we've been sharing what's possible when the body has the natural support that it deserves. It's been driving us and teaching us to be a voice for others. And at first we thought that was a fluke, because what are the odds? The very first person that we give the cookies to has such an amazing turnaround. But Debbie, we started seeing this over and over, dog after dog, cat after cat, horse after horse. Over 90% of the time, people were calling us in tears. They're acting like a puppy again. They're playing, they're eating better, and just all of these positive improvements. In some cases, dramatic. In other instances, it's the little things, like they're playing again. They're chasing the hose, those types of fun things. So that's really when we realized what we had our hands on and how important this work was and how powerful it and meaningful it is. And we haven't stopped being a voice. As a matter of fact, after a short while of offering it for the pets, a lot of people would say, well, our pet doesn't know what a placebo is. How they don't know there's a mushroom in the treat that I'm giving them. It either works or it doesn't. And obviously it's working. And so they started asking, how do we get the same type of mushroom support? Yeah. Eh,
Yeah, I have a question,
Yeah,
if it's okay. So, so obviously so far we've talked about the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, but the company is now offering other types of mushrooms. So this is really a two-part question. Number one, what other mushrooms are there? And number two, if you have a pet, like for instance, my pet, we heard him run into the wall. It was the most horrible thing coming down the stairs. I mean, it was just that, that sound. We knew that he had a concussion. Um, Plus, he was exhibiting bizarre behaviors right afterwards. So I started giving him some of the mushrooms, like for the brain and nerves. So, could you address how we do that with the people, but with the pets as well?
absolutely. While the mushroom that I've been talking about is called the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, that is the core mushroom, because your immune system and your pet's immune systems are the most important system in the entire body. That's what regulates and balances everything that's happening inside of the body. And so every pet, every person, every day should be taking the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. But like you said, there are complementary mushrooms that you can take along with the Coriolis versicolor mushroom that support specific parts and functions of the body. So for instance, with what you were dealing with, there's a special mushroom called the lion's mane mushroom that's very helpful for nerve and brain support. And it also helps to remap the brain, helps with digestive function, maintaining healthy weight. There's so many studies that have been done on the lion's mane mushroom that you can look up and all of the benefits for the body and all of the different things that it supports. But we actually take the lion's mane mushroom and we bake it into a treat called the chill doggies, which has a calming blend of ingredients as well. So, especially if your pet is dealing with anxiety, hyperactivity, depression, any of those types of things, even dementia, just anything nerve or brain related, those chill doggies can be incredibly helpful. Or if there's a lightning storm or thunderstorm or fireworks are going off the 4th of July or New Year's or whatever it may be, or you're having a large gathering at your home and maybe your dog gets anxious during those moments, or when you leave for work and they get separation anxiety, you can just give them one of these little biscuits called the chill doggies and it helps. They're still very alert, they're still very aware. It just helps to calm that hypersensitivity so they feel normal. They're not panicking, which is just devastating when you have to leave your pet in that condition or watch them suffer through it. It's just devastating to watch. You feel so helpless. So that lion's mane mushroom really complements what the Coriolis versicolor mushroom does. And like you said, we not only have it available for pets, but also people. You know, we have these Enforce capsules here, which is the green bottle that you can find online. And these have the Coriolis versicolor mushroom for that immune support. Like I said, every person, I highly recommend take this every day because it's just incredible what it does for the body. Again, you can look up the studies, that don't have to take my word for it. But there is a complementary mushroom called the reishi mushroom. And so we take the Coriolis versicolor mushroom and the reishi mushroom, and we add it to this product called Enforce Plus, which is the yellow bottle. Now, the reishi mushroom is an alkalinizing mushroom, and it helps to support cholesterol levels and supports blood pressure levels and blood sugar levels and a lot of those different processes. We also take the lion's mane mushroom and we have that in tablet form. It's called Enforce Clarity. And the lion's mane mushroom supports the nerve and the brain. And also, there are studies that show how it helps to maintain a healthy weight. We also have another complementary mushroom called the maitake mushroom, and that's in this product called Enforce Restore, the red bottle. Now, this is very helpful for liver and pancreas support because there's such a toxic overload today. We're just bombarded by toxins culturally. It's in the foods that we eat, the air that we're breathing, the water that we're drinking, everything we're putting onto our skin, the chemicals that we clean with. All of that is really starting to take a toll on the liver. So it's very important that we're getting the liver support that we need so the body can detox properly. And then the other complementary mushroom that we recommend is called the shiitake mushroom, which we have in the orange bottle called Enforce Shield. And this is an extraordinary mushroom as well. It's a great source of natural vitamin D. It helps to promote antiviral functions in the body. It helps, it's a great source of antioxidants, it's cardiovascular support. So while we recommend that everyone take the Coriolis versicolor mushroom every day, those other mushrooms, when you take them along with it, can really help to accelerate your progress and give you a more targeted approach if there's something specific that you're trying to accomplish.
Excellent. Thank you. What, so I was actually giving him the pills instead of the chill doggies just because that's what I had handy from the beginning when I wanted to start giving them. So if we give our pets the products that are really designed for the humans, is there a downside to that?
No, all of these mushrooms are safe for both pets and people. Yes.
Okay, very good. Um, I'm sorry I interrupted you. So
No, it's fine. You know, it's a really good question. And a lot of times people will ask me, I'm certified in pet nutrition and, certified in mycology. So a lot of times people will ask me, how much of these should I, like, how much of this should I be giving my pet, or how much of this should I even be taking myself? And that's a really good question. And one of the, first of all of these mushrooms are edible mushrooms. They're no different from eating mushrooms on salads or in a food that you're eating. So these are just whole foods that support the body in these very particular ways, especially the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. Of the hundreds of studies that have been done on particularly this strain with this type of extraction method, we extract it at its mycelial phase when it has a lot of the polysaccharides like PSP and PSK that are very beneficial for the immune system. You can't take too much. It's just like eating more mushrooms on a salad. It doesn't interact with any medications or treatments. You can't get addicted. You can't overdose. There aren't any side effects for the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. So if you're just trying to be wise and be preventative and say, you know what, I want to just keep my immune system supported, or I want to keep my pet's immune system supported so I don't have to get to that point where I have to start making those hard decisions, then we recommend for the capsules, just 1 capsule for every 50 pounds every day. And if you are using the treats like the handmade gravy that we have or the biscuits that we have, there is a suggested amount based off of their weight that's on the bag of the product, or you can find it online when you're looking at the website. Now, if you do have some health concerns, for example, when I found out about this mushroom, I was actually dealing with, I had the autoimmune marker and I had a lot of inflammation in my body. And so I did have some health concerns that weren't necessarily detrimental, but it was affecting my quality of life. So if you're dealing with concerns like that, you can double or even triple that suggested amount just at first until you start to find some resolve, or once the body rebalances, then you can just go down to that regular suggested amount of 1 capsule for every 50 pounds just to maintain that. If you're dealing with something severe or very serious that you're concerned about, you can triple or quadruple that suggested amount at first. And we actually encourage that, especially in that first 30 days, because it will really help to get that immune system modulated. Same with your pets. If they're dealing with something very, very serious, then you could triple the suggested amount at first for them. And then, like I said, once the issue starts resolving, you can just go back down to the normal amount. But we've seen the best results when you approach it that way, because again, it's just a whole food. It's not a cure for anything. It doesn't treat or prevent or mitigate anything. It's just a superfood, but it is a food that feeds the immune system. And when that immune system is functioning optimally, then it goes to the source of whatever's creating the problems that our bodies are dealing with, or our pets' bodies are dealing with, and it addresses it there. And so it's a true way to get to the root cause of the issue, handle it there, so then we're not seeing the aftermath of what that root cause has been doing to the body.
So backing up for a minute, you mentioned the extraction method, and I want to tell a little story that I think is a pretty telling one. And that is, one of the marketing people, you'll know as soon as I say this, ran into one of her customers' wives at the grocery store and said, "How is your husband doing?" "Well, he's not doing so well." She said, "Okay." Well, and she knew that they had not been ordering in the last month or two, because she knew that from checking her paperwork. And so she pursued that, and the lady said, "Well, because the Coriolis versicolor is in the turkey tail family." And she said, "Oh, we found some turkey tail at the grocery store and we bought that." And the marketing person said, "Okay." So when he was taking our version, Coriolis versicolor mushroom, he was doing really well. And now he's taking the grocery store turkey tail and he's not doing so well. And she said, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm going to go home and order right away." But my point is, what, other than that extraction method, what makes our products superior to a lot of other products out there?
You bring up such a good point because one of the beautiful things about the time right now, the timing right now, is people are learning about the benefits of mushroom. They're learning about the importance of eating foods that support the body, not just fill us up. And so, as people are learning more about it, of course, new brands are popping up right and left. And unfortunately, many of these are new brands, they're new companies, and they're not either manufacturing it properly, they're using specific strains that might not be as efficable, might not be as pure. So we've been doing this now for decades. This is not something new, right? This is something that we've been involved in now for decades. And so there are three things that I always teach people, being certified in mycology, this is what you need to look for if you're taking any mushroom supplements at all. Number one, make sure that the strain is pure. There are hundreds of different variants of each of the types of mushrooms that are available for people, and they're not all pure. For example, our strain, we test it for purity 3 times during the process of manufacturing. There are 3 certificates of analysis that we get on every single batch to make sure that the product is clean and pure. That's the number one most important thing because it doesn't matter how you extract it. It doesn't matter how potent it is. If it's not pure, you could get adverse effects or adverse reactions to it. Did you have a
So
question?
how would people find out if they were looking at another brand? How would they find out if it was pure?
If it doesn't say that it's pure and it's regularly tested for purity, then it's probably not. So you can look at the bottle or the marketing or maybe the website where you got it from. It should say it on there. For example, we go through a rigorous process and we let people know because that's the most important thing to look for when you're looking for mushrooms. The second thing is potency. Potency is important because, perfect example, the grocery store version, you would have to take 5 bottles of it to match the potency of 1 bottle of ours. So even though you think that you're saving money, it's actually costing you 4 to 5 times more because you have to take more of it because it's not a potent strain. And so all of our strains of even the complementary mushrooms that we use, they're all tested for purity. They're all tested for potency. Not only are they tested for that, but we rigorously chose potent strains in the first place that are high in the bioactive compounds that the body needs. And then the third thing is the extraction process. That's very important. The Coriolis versicolor mushroom that we extract, we do it in a different way than a lot of other manufacturers. It's a lot less expensive for them to pull it from the fully fruited body because there's more biomass. They can make more product and it helps them to save money and it helps them to make more money. But that's not where those incredible components are. The PSP, the PSK, the spermidine, all of those are found in the mycelial phase of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. And that's what's responsible for the mitochondria health, the cellular repair, the DNA repair. All of that is found in those bioactive components. The autophagy that the spermidine starts, all of those are found there. So even though it's more expensive and more meticulous to do, that's what makes the product so much more efficable. And that's why we're getting back the reports of what's happening with the dogs and the cats and the horses and the people that are trying specifically these products is because we've perfected the extraction process. We know what to do. We know how to do it. We're in the first place using a very pure and potent strain anyway, and then we're harnessing that purity and getting it into the body. And that's why we're having the results that we're having. So while there are many different options available, they're not all equal. So you want to be conscious of what you're putting into the body. And also, all of it's made and sourced in the United States, which is really important because a lot of the ingredients that are being imported from overseas, unfortunately, even if they're organic and they've purchased all the proper labeling, we're finding radiation, heavy metals, just a lot of impurities in them.
And going back to what you were saying about the volume that people take, the the problem and the danger to our brand is that they don't know. There's nothing on the label that says, oh yeah, you've got to take 5 times more of this. to equal something that's very potent. So they're going to use it and they're not going to have the positive results that they could have if they were using the Deb's Pets brand.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day, I have a dear friend that always says, you can get sushi at the gas station, but I would never eat gas station sushi. And that's kind of how I look at this. Like, yeah, there's all these places that you can get it, but it's not always what's best for you. It's not always going to be the most cost effective for you because of that. However, I will say some mushrooms, especially these holistic mushrooms that provide this type of support, some is better than none. So even if you are dealing with something, and let's say, you know what, I can only get one bottle and you're only taking two of them a day, that is better than none. We've seen wonderful things happening for people or for their pets, even when the smallest amount is put into the body. So we never want to stretch people beyond their means or put them in an uncomfortable situation. So even just a little bit is better than none. I even had a lady that could only take one of them a day because she was on a very tight budget. And
That,
yeah, and it took longer, of course, but the intended result was still the same. She is doing so much better. Her numbers have improved. As a matter of fact, her physician was like, "This doesn't even look like it's blood work from the same person." That's how much her numbers in several different areas improved, and that just shows you the power of the immune system and all that the immune system is capable of doing. So we're always confident, regardless of what you're experiencing with your pet, or regardless of what you're experiencing with yourself, give it a try. Just give it a shot. Start getting this food into the body and see what the immune system can do for you. We're so confident it will be helpful.
yeah. And I'll tell my story about myself. And what I've been telling my networking groups is be careful what you wish for, because I always was wishing that I had positive results that I could tell about my own personal story from the products. Well, it came about because I was in an unfamiliar house and I missed the stair. Long story I won't go into, and fell down two stairs, cracked my head open, and had to go to the ER. And that night, I called my friend that told me that I was using the wrong dog food and his wife, and they're going, "How's your headache?" And I'm like, "I don't have a headache." "Well, what about that pressure you get behind your eyes?" "I don't have that. I don't have anything." I mean, I went to the ER and had 5 skin staples put in my head, and I had no effects. I mean, when I was laying there and I just cracked my head, I thought for a minute the headache's coming on, but then it went away right away and it did not come back. So that's my story, but I really didn't want that to happen to me to have my story.
It's so incredible how quickly the immune system starts kicking in, and it just knows. It knows, it's so intelligently designed. It knows exactly what to do. It knows exactly how to fix it. But it's just so compromised usually that it's not functioning to its full potential. So your immune system, when that unfortunate incident happened to you, it was like, all right, I'm ready for this. It just kicked
Yeah,
into, and it served you well.
it did. It did. I was extra. I hadn't really even thought about it, until Kurt and Gail were like, "What?" Gail's going, "When did this happen?" And I'm like, "About 6 hours ago." "And how old are you?" "I'm not going to tell that here, but yeah. So trust me, folks, this is something well worth trying. And we appreciate you being here. And Cristin, we definitely appreciate you being with us and sharing. Is there anything that we left out that you feel like we should end with?
I think we covered everything. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help in every way. we truly see what we're doing through these products and even through this company. It's not just about building a company. Like we're a part of the restoration of creation. And that's what our mission is returning back to the natural order, returning things to the way they were before they were disrupted and disturbed, and taking advantage of all the natural support that's available for us, that's abundantly growing out in nature. So if anyone has any questions or needs any help, feel free to reach out to us. It's not a bother. We're happy to help. We appreciate you giving us your time and your attention during this. Those are the most valuable things that you have. And so it says a lot about who you are and what's important to you that you've taken the time to spend with us to hear what's going on. And please share it with others that you know that this might be an answer to prayer for. And thank you so much, Debbie, for having me on. You have a heart of gold. You're so incredible, so authentic. I just always love talking to you. So thank you for putting this together and
Kristen.
being a resource for others and helping others.
Yes, definitely. And thank you all for entertaining my friend Bear. All right. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.